What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and in this video we're gonna get back to what you love: crazy prison stories. In this video I want to tell you about 3 different stories involving prison guards that were pretty crazy. And real quick, before we begin this video, I do want to thank everybody who purchased the new APS Army Broke Wing t-shirts or hoodies. Thank you so much for doing so. All of the money raised from those t-shirt and hoodie sales will be going to a good cause that you will see next month. With all of that being said, let's just go ahead and dive head first into today's video. This first story takes place at a time back when I was in the jail. This was probably somewhere around like 2002, 2003, and it was during a time that I was just getting ready to be released after serving like 13 months in the jail. But during this time, I was a trustee, and I've mentioned in other videos exactly what a trustee is, but if you don't know, a trustee is just a prisoner who has a job in the jail. And during this time, my job was to help hand out trays to prisoners in this one particular section of the jail. This section was referred to as the dungeon. And the reason this particular section of the jail was referred to as the dungeon is because of the fact that this was the older section of the jail that was reserved specifically for prisoners in the jail who were causing all sorts of trouble. They were too bad to be brought up into the new section of the jail, which was at least somewhat nicer. Now, to be a trustee who worked in this section of the jail, you had to deal with a lot of shit. In fact, there were a lot of trustees who didn't want this job at all. The dungeon consisted of like 20 or more different cell blocks full of prisoners who would absolutely disrespect these trustees to the fullest. In fact, while I worked down there, I actually saw quite a few trustees just quit. They went and told the CO, "I'm not working down here no more. These guys are in the cell block throwing entire trays of food at me." I saw trustees coming out of these cell blocks with spit on them, milk on them, stink bombs on them, which is like a container of milk that has been rotted. They put piss in it. It's the most disgusting thing in the world. And they use this to either throw it at the guards or at other prisoners like trustees. The best way that I could possibly describe working in this section of the jail is, it was crazy. But what's even crazier than how prisoners down in this dungeon section of the jail would treat staff and trustees is the fact that when old Joe worked down there, he didn't have any problems. And I know you're probably hearing this thinking, that's bullshit, Joe. They probably threw just as much stuff at you, including these stink bombs, as they did to other trustees who worked down there. And I can completely understand if you think that, but let me tell you why they didn't treat me the same way they treated these other trustees. Because these prisoners needed me down there. I was one of few trustees who would actually break the law. I was basically the connect down in this dungeon, the plug, the guy that could get you whatever you needed from the kitchen, whether it be hot sauce, real sugar, coffee, things that guys down in this section of the jail wanted and wanted all the time. So it was because of that one reason alone that I had all of the respect down in this old section of the jail and also had no problems. And it's mentioning all of that that brings me to the CO that this story really is about. And in fact, it wasn't just one CO. It was 2 of them. It was these 2 particular COs who worked down in this old section of the jail together. And one thing that I do have to mention while telling you about these 2 particular correctional officers is they were both newbies. These 2 guards, they were fresh meat, rookies, right out of the training academy, put into the old section of the jail to watch over and guard these out of control prisoners who were housed down here. And I have to be honest with you, I really had no dealings with these 2 guards at all. This one particular day, these 2 guards called me over to their little guard station and they said, hey prisoner, yo prisoner, come here. What do you want, boss? I went over to their station and they said to me, they said, hey man, we see you working down here and it's kind of strange to us how you are the only trustee who works down here who doesn't come out of these cell blocks full of stink bombs and food trays. You must got some kind of pull down here. I'm listening to these 2 guards talk to me and I already know the direction they are trying to take this conversation, and it doesn't take long before they get right to the point. We know you know where stuff is going on inside of these cell blocks, so why don't you tell us? These guards basically asked me to snitch. And of course I knew of plenty of stuff that was going on down inside of these cell blocks. I knew exactly where all of the gambling was happening, where all of the tattoos were taking place at, where they were smoking and also had drugs. But I wasn't about to tell these guards any of this shit. In fact, what I ended up doing was playing both of these guards. Because at the time that I was working down in this section of the jail, there was something else that was beginning to take shape in Joe's life at the same time. And that was that I had just recently realized that there was this nurse who worked down in this dungeon who had the hots for old Joe. No bullshit, this nurse, she had some feelings for me. And the story about me and this nurse is definitely one for another time. It is fucking crazy. But I just need to throw in the fact that there was this situation brewing between me and this nurse at the same time that these two guards were asking me for information about things going on in the jail. When they asked me to tell them what was going on inside of the jail, we know you know things, tell us! Please tell us. They were two rookie guards. They were just looking for some information so that they could go make some sort of a big bust in the jail and possibly gain some rank. I knew these two guys were hungry, so I strung them right along. I said, are you kidding me? Of course I know what's going on in this jail. Don't you see how much respect I get down in just this section of the jail? So come on, man, come on, tell us. We know you know what's going on. I said, boss, I could tell you about some stuff down here that would literally put stripes on your arms. And putting stripes on their arm basically refers to them getting the rank that they so desperately desired, going from a rookie correctional officer probably up to something like a sergeant. I don't know. I just wanted to really fill these guys up with a lot of hope because I needed them. When I told them this, their eyes lit up like kids at Christmas time. And seeing just how they were reacting to this, I had to quickly follow up by telling them, but I don't do anything for free. Whoa, 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 whoa. We can't do anything. We work in the jail. We're guards. I said, man, I don't need you to do anything crazy. I said, all I need you to do is when this nurse comes down here to do her rounds, you just let me talk to her for a little bit. What? We don't care. Talk to the nurse? Yeah, sure. So the nurse came, she did her rounds, me and her were talking, and we ended up talking right in front of these two guards who were sitting right there at their guard station. And as me and this nurse were talking, she looked from me to these guards, back to me. And as soon as I saw her do that, I really wanted to show her just what kind of pull I had in this jail. I said, don't even worry about those guys right there. They don't care. And as soon as I said that and those two guards heard me say that, the next thing they said was, hey, just move just a little bit. That way you're not in sight of the camera. And if you're wondering what I gave them in return for this favor that they gave me, absolutely nothing. I told them that in 1 week I would have exactly what they were looking for. But I went home 2 days after that. The next guard that I want to tell you about in this video, he actually really was a cool guard. This is a young guy that I met at one of the prisons I was at. This particular guard actually had like a bunch of tattoos on him, and I remember one day how we got to talking because of those tattoos. And from there, I saw just how cool this guy really was. You can tell a lot about a prison guard just from your first meeting with them and seeing how they carry themselves while in the prison. You can actually get a really good idea of whether or not they're going to be cool or they're gonna be dicks. And this guy was really cool. In fact, it didn't take long before this particular guard found out that I was tattooing inside of the cell block. And when he did, he basically showed just how cool he really was. While working, this guy would do his rounds. I would be in the cell block tattooing, and I wouldn't even have to put anything away. This guy would actually let me do my work. He would even go so far as to come over and see exactly what I was tattooing. Dude, that looks really good. I appreciate that, man. Don't tell this guy, but I'm actually tattooing a flying penis on his back. This guard was so cool that he even asked me to draw up some tattoo designs and stencils for him that he actually went and really got tattooed on him. And he even asked me what I wanted in return for these designs. And I told him the best way he could pay me for these tattoo designs, porn. This guy actually began bringing me in like 3 or 4 pages at a time of folded up Buttman magazine. And if you don't know what Buttman magazine is, I have to assure you that in prison, it's like having a block of gold. And 3 or 4 pages of a porn magazine may not seem like much at all, but you have to understand this. Those 3 or 4 pages can be taken to another prisoner who either works in the library or works in the school as like a teacher's aide or something, and then can be Xeroxed and made copies of. So 3 or 4 pages can actually turn into like 100 pages of porn. And it was actually through this particular cool ass guard that Joe's porn picture kingpin hustle began. I want to tell you one more real quick crazy story involving a guard that I met. And I'm going to refer to this guy as Jekyll and Hyde. And I have to be honest with you, I really did not like this guy. And the reason this guard is one that I don't particularly like is because of the fact that he was one of these flip-flop type of guards. A Jekyll and Hyde in real life. This guard was so damn cool. He would let anything go. Anything. Tattooing, fighting, gambling. This guard would actually watch fights inside of the cell block, watching as prisoners got stomped out inside of a cell, laughing the entire time. And I know that really doesn't make this guard sound too cool at all. Because that is also something else you have to consider, is the fact that even though a guard may be cool, sometimes they may be too cool. And that could actually be like a recipe for a very dangerous situation while locked up. But this guard did have his cool moments. In fact, most of the time, he was really cool. He would let anything go inside of the cell block, knew what everybody was doing, knew that I tattooed, knew that I also played poker and where I played poker at. And I guess the only thing that really makes this guard cool is the fact that he would just let that type of stuff go on. In fact, this helped to make time a hell of a lot easier. Being able to do what you want to do, hustle, make your money, whatever, that was a good thing. But when this guard was in his Hyde type moments, when he was being a complete fucking asshole, he would go and shake down everybody that he knew was doing things that they really weren't supposed to be. And it didn't take long for prisoners to get hip to this guy's tactics. In fact, we knew that one day this guy would be cool and the next day he would be in there shaking down. So for the most part, we were always prepared for this guy. In fact, I knew personally I would be one of the people he would shake down because of the fact that he knew I tattooed and also played poker. So he would come searching my stuff, looking for that tattoo contraband or maybe even those poker chips. But I was always ready for that. In fact, I never kept any of that contraband in my possession at all. I would actually pay another prisoner to keep it with them, because there are certain prisoners whose hustle is to be the guy that holds shit for other prisoners. He gets paid for holding all of the contraband. So wrapping this up, I just want to say that just because a guard is cool doesn't mean that they are actually like really cool. I have met plenty of guards who are like everyday people and treat prisoners pretty much the same way. And those guards are just really genuine, decent human beings. They don't treat prisoners like they're animals locked up in a cage like 99% of all of the other guards do. But in a lot of cases, those really cool, genuine guards, they're kind of fucking boring. So because of that, I chose these 3 particular situations dealing with prison guards to tell you about, because those 3 situations are some of the furthest things away from boring. By the way, I have a ton of more stories I can tell you about in relation to relatively cool prison guards. Also throw in there, I could tell you just as many stories about the bad ones too. Hey look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. And as always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace! Let's give a few shout outs starting with Twitter. Brianne, Max Latonin, JJ Brihenny, Violent Violet Black, Bob French, and Chris Perry. Thanks to all of you for retweeting yesterday's tweet. From Instagram, let's shout out Chevy Boy, Alan Segovia, Erect Memes, Undertaker's Child, and Try Blant. From yesterday's video that everybody seemed to hate, let's shout out Dead Wolf 002, John Toko YRI, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, John Cena, Jesse, Toth Attila, and Arturo Benitez. Thanks to all of you and to everyone else, and until next time, peace!